Music is going too hard for my liking. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing tonight? I'm just getting some more things. That's... Hey, Caparzo, how's it going? I am tired as not again. Hi, Rum. I'm doing a match review of your match, so you're gonna hate me. And then we're gonna do power rankings right after. All right, so we're doing the ROFS versus Pathfinders match. Okay, I'm not gonna do it. I know that'll piss the ROFS boys off, but yeah. So we're gonna do, you know, Pathfinders and Caparzo. Pathfinders and ROFS match. Played on SMDM with Pierre's farm as mid. So this is from Smithers' channel. His link will be in the description. So if you guys are unfamiliar with this, I basically kind of just go through a good part of this match, skipping a little bit here and there on some boring parts, and things are really uneventful, but trying to get like the best, you know, I guess post-match analysis as the video stream title describes it as. But so yeah, I try to do that for both sides. Obviously we only have one caster, which was Smithers, like I said. So off the rip for Pathfinder, since that's the side that was casted from, doing a supply drop here, which is fine. You're always gonna have a supply drop in gardens when it's cattle sheds, or, you know, basically anytime you're allies, you're always gonna have a garrison in the gardens. Pretty common. One thing I do have to say is there's a supply truck right here and a supply truck right there, and I kind of don't, I guess, understand why you brought a supply truck from the mid HQ to the right side of the map when you spawned in a supply truck on the right side of the map. I just think that's a little bit kind of a waste, just as far as timing, because, you know, you have all these squad leads here. Now obviously one of these trucks can go right here, and probably somewhere like in this area for a garrison, and then build this one as well. That's what I would normally do. I would have a garrison over here, just kind of north of Pierre, probably somewhere right here between that point and, I don't know, right here. I guess I don't think that can fit anyways, but, and then have one right there. I just don't like how there's two supply trucks there. I would probably head this truck over here. That way you can get a garrison back behind here in case you do lose Pierre's farm, and then maybe go this way, place a garrison over here, and then come down and get this one. Because this one's probably going to be built in the corner of the map by Pizza Slice by these squad leads up there. As far as the ROFS side of things and what they usually do, now they have a tough route of trying to get through St. Marie Dumont going on the main road, which you'll see in a second. But they'll probably build one over here, somewhere south over here by this hill, then I assume probably one somewhere in that area as well as their initial opening garrisons.
So for Pierre's farm, we should expect the...
I'm just going to meet Smithers because, yeah, he's me on 2x speed, and we're just going to skip a little bit ahead. All right, and we skipped way too far ahead. So at the initial start, looks like there's multiple tanks going on the border, which you kind of do expect from the allies in this map. Axis, like I said, very prone to snipes as well, going down this main road, and Pathfinders do get a lucky snipe, and we'll get the back truck. Now, I know what some people do as well is they'll lead a light tank out, and they'll do it that way. But one thing I kind of don't understand here, once like he's about to put it away, which was right there, is you kind of saw it for a split second where Pathfinders had this truck right here, and they actually abandoned this truck. I don't know if it got stuck somehow or they just abandoned it. Hello, Iowa. But this truck cannot stop right here. It has to go towards AA network. because you have to challenge a network as allies, and obviously as Axis too, but it's going to be favored for the Axis to get to this point first, even though it's not the point we're fighting over. You still have to fight over that other midpoint, just for map control purposes. But garrison back here and the garrison right here, you can probably still fit one, maybe. No, you can't fit one right here. Usually they put this garrison behind this little hut, and you can kind of fit them in a little bit easier, so I would just probably clean up this garrison network if you're Pathfinders, and even so, I would have a backup garrison somewhere back over here, maybe, or even back all the way over here, just because, you know, it's very common for these garrisons to be found and go down from recon. Obviously, taking Pizza Slice, but not a lot of people going to Pierre's farm, which you'll see here in a second. I think it's only 2 SLs in Pierre's farm, and that's okay as long as you have very good Pizza Slice control, which they do have off the start of this game. Which, yeah, they have like a few squad leads and stuff over here trying to fight over that, but I think that's like kind of all they have going for them. Like I said, like they needed more people on the AA network side of things, because they don't have anything here. They have 1 OP, 2 OPs, but even then they need to get some sort of crossfire towards Pierre's farm. I think it does get backed up by a tank in a second, as we'll skip a little head. Should have grabbed more water for this. Looking at this tank's position, this isn't a bad tank position. You would normally see a tank kind of play like back here, like somewhere behind this house, just kind of getting better angles to shoot like this building right here where all the ROFS players are at, maybe hit where Kaiser's at. You just get a little bit better, I think, line of sight towards the actual hard cap than right here. You get a little bit of visual, but you don't really get that much, in my opinion. I'm not sure. Yeah, they have a Lux down here, and a great one as well, who does go down. Lux is obviously going to be a problem, and that's the nice thing about like having a tank back over here, is it could maybe challenge, if it gets the right obviously angle for it, they could challenge this Lux a little bit. Would need to be a decent shot and see him, but you know, it's possible that they could have maybe knocked this out and helped infantry put up. I do like how they're throwing smokes on it. I feel like people don't use smokes in this game other than if it's like Foy or some other hellhole of a midpoint to get. Again, ROFS does have control of AA, and this is part of the reason why this point will flip towards ROFS. As we look at the map layout, yep, so they did place this garrison back here. They did have a garrison here, 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 and here. So that's a good garrison network to have. I would just prefer if they would move this one slightly over to over here, and then they could squeeze one in back over here. And then maybe have to adjust this one over to the west more. I think that would have been a little bit better for them. One thing that I don't really see a lot of teams do is they try to set up like a quick red zone garrison off the start of the match. Now, obviously it's the start of the match, but like if Pathfinders was ready with like a supply drop or a supply truck that came all the way to like the D6 area, places a garrison somewhere back over there, I think that would be good for recon and that, like, you know, that quote unquote sapper crew to use. And then OPs go up after the mid cap. Adrenaline right here needs to stay alive and places OP. It's a very rough spot to be in. I think ROFS knows about that spot very well when they played 3-5 in this map in TPL. Medium tank finally will take out that Lux. But now I think he's a little bit too far pushed up. I'm also not sure why Pathfinders did not build. I feel like this is one thing that, you know, these newer and maybe less experienced teams don't really do, is they don't try to build rep stations as soon as they can. Like, yes, you want to get the mid cap, you want to establish, you know, getting the mid cap, but rep stations can play a huge role into that. And if they maybe had like a rep station, like I don't know if I'm gonna, if Smithers goes back towards the red-blue line now. I think he kind of does, but they basically just had one back here or even somewhere by Pizza Slice. That would have helped out a lot with this medium tank. They also do have a bunch of engineers that aren't repping the tank, which I find a little annoying. Because now they, especially as the allies. This is a lot of OPs that are bunched up. I do like how J Squad's OP is, you know, kind of behind the garrison. It probably should be more by this hedge line, in my personal opinion. Don't mind F, M, and B's too much. Like, again, we're still like 10 minutes into the game. But these two OPs right next to each other doesn't really change too much. Recon OP as well. I think there's a fourth OP there. Yeah, there is a fourth OP there, so don't know if they need that many squad leads over there. Because again, like, they probably should have... 76 is on his way, but again, no pre-built rep stations, which I think Smithers is saying right there when he zooms in. That, you know, there's no rep stations built. I feel like you need like 2 back here at the minimum at this point if you are Pathfinders. It's like garrison back over there went down to recon already, or maybe a recon tank. For some reason, Smoke Hardy's coming down here. I don't know why Smoke Hardy's coming down from either team, to be completely honest. Maybe ROFS just to block the visual of the tank. That's about it. Just feel like this medium is a little bit aggressive right now. And we'll go down. That was an early bombing run. I'll zoom up a little bit. Rob starts to pressure them, which is gonna happen. Actually, a very close OP. Oh, yeah, that was right. That was the one part I wanted to go over to. If it pops back up. And it maybe doesn't. Did Smithers bring up his mic or his... I'm just trying to find the map view. I apologize. Okay. This is the problem with 2 times speed. You just get fucked. Nothing but gardens, which is gonna be tough to hold. This is a problem if you're Pathfinders. It's a lot of OPs in this small area. I feel like you need to shift like 2 of these. Like maybe just shift G squads. I don't even know. Because obviously it's in the moment. You don't sometimes think about this kind of stuff, but you need to shift like at least 1 or 2 of these OPs somewhere else. Maybe shift M's back over here. Kind of keep B's as the front door, maybe then shift F's back this way. And then keep R's where they're at. So like you kind of form like a triangle. So if like one of these gets burnt, like if R's or B's gets burnt, this OP that's back here can replace either or of those. And then you kind of just fill in from there. And then I think just shift one of these maybe to the main road so you just don't let them walk through front door, or you maybe even go to gardens just to have some sort of presence over there. It doesn't have to be more than like 2 people over there either if you're defense. Japan servers were terrible. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, I feel like the problem is people are used to playing on their home servers, that when they have to play on a unfavorable or even ground server, it just feels like the worst thing in the world. I feel like that's like everyone's issue with playing on like Japan, or if you're EU playing on NA West. This is an awful situation for Pathfinders to be in right now. They do have a garrison all the way over here in the red, but that's not really going to do so much. Again, no rep stations built by this tank unless they were blown up. Front door is open. I think Smithers went over that plenty of times in the stream. I'm not going to go over it too much, but you need like an OP like somewhere right there or something right there. Garrison, I assume, from E squad will get built in Gardens and then maybe go back up north, but you need one back over here. Honestly, the same thing for over here, just to have like a little bit of a ring. Even so, you could honestly put a garrison back right here, just because ROFS is probably not going to find this garrison. Like, they might go over here one time, take it out, but they're not going to go here multiple times. So that way, if this garrison gets burnt or this one, you can easily go and replace those two. And again, this tank is getting harassed. I don't know if he got satcheled right here, but this is the problem with offset points too, which I hate. I think cattle sheds is probably one of the worst. I think it's one of the worst fourth points that I've seen teams struggle with, like in this map, like all the time, unless it's AA network and you get Pierre's farm or whatever this one is. I think it's dugout because I'm a fan of dugout. But if you get like either or of these points and then it's cattle sheds, it just feels like an absolute awful time trying to be okay on cattle. I don't know what it is about cattle, but it just feels terrible to defend. I hope MRF goes by and helps this tank out with the garrison, and just because this tank is just by himself with no intel. He could be getting satcheled from a guy prone in the grass. Yeah, like and that's like a problem. Like, these guys up here had no idea that their tank was probably, I mean, he probably knew because, you know, command chat's a thing, but like, this tank up here should not have died by satchels and stuff like that. Like, it happens, you know, but, you know, I feel like you just have to have someone around this tank, because this would not have happened between Dingo and this assault player. Like, everyone's just kind of just stacked up right there, and it's just kind of easy pickings for ROFS. But like, all right, you know, there's a stack of, it's basically two battles at once that are happening right here on this side of the map. It was like a battle right here, and then there's a battle over here, and that's basically it. I mean, and it's pretty easy to manage because you can just send Artie and some guys to one and kind of overwhelm the other, and then eventually you'll just like have that area. What the fuck am I listening to? Also, I've seen this a lot. You don't need to place a garrison on the red-blue line. You can back it up a little bit. Do you like the supply drop back there? Good. Tank blows up to something, probably a satchel. I'll zoom past to about an hour left into the match. Finally getting up a rep station. This is like the first one I think I've seen all game, but it will not go up because they have died. Garrison right there, not too bad, but it is red. You can't really build one in the next two eastern sectors just because it is open field. And right now, ROFS' map is kind of like this. They're kind of just like enclosing this entire area and just slowly pushing out. Like, obviously they're gonna have some like guys over here. You know, there's one sapper that's probably hiding somewhere back over here with his OP. A very smart OP placement by ROFS would have been actually back here by the US lines. Most teams won't go back there and check that out if that SL is very, very smart. equally terrible, you would say. Yeah, the servers are not too friendly when you play on 200, 300 plus ping. And I say that generously, 200, 300 ping. It's just a battle of the wheat field, which everyone's favorite game to play is who can spray through the wheat better than the other player. Wheat field fighting is one of the worst things to do in this game, in my opinion. It's so bad. Beat ROFS rep station with the P4, even though it's just a P4. If he gets hit in the turret by a 76, he can duck and cover, or if he gets hit in the side by a medium or AT gun, he can just duck and cover and get repped and get right back into the battle. It's a smart play from ROFS. It's a very powerful position for either team to be in, especially as Axis, though, with Pierre's farm. It's a very common spot. You can kind of just shell this entire area where Pathfinders want to be and hold, because that's obviously, you know, the front door to their next point. So, like, right now, Pathfinders need to get something going over here. They lost, I think, 2 76s at this point. Maybe 3. I have no idea. It's just kind of about winning those micro engagements for the next few minutes. It's not necessarily also about, you know, trying to gain the ground back, but it's just kind of holding the ground and then kind of like a slow grind back. Because you're not going to win this game in, you know, 10 minutes. Like, no one does anymore unless it's like a very mismatched game. Rum in the back lines. Just jumping in the middle of the fields, lighting up an OP. Burns the OP. Should alert Pathfinders, which they do. Denny puts a infantry mark. 76 coming up. This is also really rough for armor when you get pushed back this far back. Like, ROFs are just, now they've kind of evolved. I'm not really going to include A squad because they're recon, but pushing this far north is basically what you want to do. Now, this is a trap right here. This square is a little bit of a trap card that if ROFs would basically kind of push all of this, like if a good amount of their teams in there, A squad could, if this was like a regular SL and they snuck all the way back here, I don't know, obviously ROFs' carry layout, but if they put one all the way back here, they can just backdoor them and just completely take the point. It's very hard to do. Obviously, always hindsight is 20/20 in these matches. But that's how some of these back caps or these caps happen when a team seems like they're in firm, good control. One team just gives out something from the rear or even the front, and the game flips on their head. Losing a 76 right there fucking sucks. We had a Gary in that corner. I assume you probably had one in this corner. Was it here or was it more north? Was it in your zone where you could get burnt in 5 seconds or 30? I'm just going to keep playing. You can say what it is. Because if it's the 30-second zone, if it's where I think you placed it, or did you have it in the cornfield? Is that a tiger? Oh, yeah, it's a dead tiger. Good P strike by Denny. Shout out to Denny. $30. Okay. Yeah, if you just place a little bit far north, it could be a change in the game, in my opinion. I don't know. I know where you exactly placed it, but maybe they just sneak a half track back there, because, you know, that seems to be the theme coming into the summit. If only. Trying to go over ROF's kind of caps. Bomber run comes in. It was a ROF's bombing run, and that was, I guess, okay. This is an awful situation for Pathfinders to be in. I think the problem with this match is the gardens control. Gardens is such an important part of this map that no matter what the midpoint is, you need something with gardens, especially cattle. Even if the points are kind of all aligned, like right here, you still need something in cattle in in the gardens area. You still need something there, whether that's a garrison or an OP or something. It's kind of why I said, put this garrison. Now they do have this red zone back here that they could, run back and build something. But a garrison right here where ROFS are going to be kind of like unaware of. Just rebuilding these is so important. Because these 3 garrisons aren't going to be good defense. Like B squad needs to be on top of a garrison right now. I squad or C squad need to build something right there. G squad hopefully on the front door, even though they're kind of getting pressured. Just to, have more spawn outlets. I think this is when ROFS kind of, they come in from the garden side, and that's kind of where, they slowly funneled people in there. It wasn't like some sort of big massive spawn wave. Like gardens is a key. Yeah, like Rum said, gardens is the reason how they took cattle and lost it, and you'll kind of see that in a bit. Now this is an awful situation to be in, having one guy from your team or from the other team start capping 5th. If ROFS had the garrison right here, this game's over. Like, you're just not gonna come back if they do like a massive redeploy at Pierre's farm onto that garrison, like shift everyone off of here to this, which is maybe about 10-15 people, and they just all go into Winter's Landing into the hard cap. It's almost a GG. It's a quick 40-minute game or so, but for Pathfinder's sake, that did not happen. Spoiler alert, it did not happen. They did not lose in 45 minutes. But a smart play from us to do that. Forces people back to the defense. Gives time for them to semi-set up. But they should have had some sort of garrison back here as a fallback no matter what. Like, just somewhere in this wheat, just to, somewhere to fall back. You get 8 garrisons, place them somewhere. One back here maybe as well. Now, armor is a very tricky thing to kind of play on when you're down 4-1. Because you always feel like you're going to be under stress 24/7 because anybody from the other team can place an OP like anywhere on the map now, as opposed to, just the 2 red grid squares. So it's very weird, like very nerve-wracking when you can maybe get like an OP that's like back here and can slowly, hunt down your tanks. But Pathfinder's getting their OPs back up, still behind cattle after they lost it, so still smart to do that. You don't want to give up all that ground right away. But there's one garrison down. It's in this corner. That's rough. I just think Pathfinders just need some like better garrison. What's the word? Better garrison tendencies, I guess, or something. I can't think of the word. Also, YouTube is forcing me to run ads. I don't run ads by myself anymore. Sorry if you get ads randomly through this stream. It's not my fault. AG being a sneaky SOB. I feel like ROFS could have built like an AT gun in the back of the map. ROFS bring it back for OCE. Damn right. I just feel like the majority of the Pathfinders players need to be between right here and right here. Somewhere in this section, and then challenging this. What they need to do. Just maybe a little bit too many people bunched up. Or Chili's gonna get yeah, this is just trying to stay alive, but it's not out too well. This is kind of what you want from ROFS, just controlling this front door. ROFS probably could have shifted more people to the northeast. But, you know, Gardens slowly going under Pathfinder's control, which, you know, good on them for doing that. But they needed to do that. Now, this tank engagement kind of does suck. For Pathfinders, they get really unlucky. Like right here, just disengage after you shoot that first round. This is where you got greedy. Don't do that. That's just a misplay by this tank crew. Like, yeah, you got the first shot into him. He then penned you again. You try to get a follow-up shot while he's on the move, but, you know, it's not, I don't think, it's not a good risk to take when he's surrounded by his own infantry, so even still, like, if he hides good enough where he can't get hit by you, he's gonna go and get reps. You should do the same. Like, it's like you're down 4-1. You can't really afford to lose armor at this point, especially with under halfway to go. You know, you need to win some sort of battle. Infantry hasn't been doing so. Neither has armor. So, like, you just got to get some sort of advantage. Maybe it's the fuel. Fuel's probably one of the better things to get in the game if you're, you know, an armor-centric team. And if you're not, that's even better. But losing a heavy in this situation is, you know, it's pretty disastrous in my personal opinion. That risk did not need to be taken. Just back up by this rep station where that engineer's building, but unfortunately, he did go down there. Airhead was called in right here by that engineer. I'm not really too sure why an airhead was called here, if I have to be completely honest by you Pathfinders. You got a garrison that's already on this side of the map. With a few squad leads, you know, you got E, M, O, and R, with recon in the backline. So like this part of the map is like under your control for the most part. Like you control it, but you know there's still ROFS people. Just I don't know where they're at. They're still like contesting you, but like for the most part, you do have good control there, or at least you're present. I should say you don't really have control. You're just kind of present. But like, I still understand the airhead. I just feel like it's a little bit of waste of manpower. Maybe it could have been beneficial somewhere else, but I don't think the airhead was too beneficial. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm just some dude at the end of the day. But I do think that airhead does help with. I'm not sure how that fucking tank died. I think that did help you guys, you know, recap this point at some degree, but not instantaneously. Like, yeah, like the airhead's burnt, there's no OPs, there's, you know, 2 OPs, so it's like, was the airhead really beneficial? Maybe, kinda, I don't know. This garrison is also asking to get rocketed right now. As long as you have it down, it's okay, but it's just be warned, don't be mad when it gets destroyed. I do like this red zone back here that was built. That's a huge red zone. This isn't bad. Honestly, this is the part of the game where you have to start thinking, hey, we are going to take cattle sheds with about, you know, 15 minutes to go or so, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. How can we set up how do we set up for Pierre's after we do take cattle? Because it feels like you guys will take cattle at this point in the game. It's just how I felt during the game when I watched it. I would have used this supply drop, honestly, somewhere in these three grid squares. Just have recon be at the ready when, you know, the cap is like halfway or something like that, to get back, like even back here, just south of Pierre's farm, to build that garrison, to get like a decent size spawn on here to attack Pierre's, because that's how you can really throw the game into a loop, is doing something like that, like pre-drop supplies for the next point. I just feel like dropping supplies in the 3-4 line at this point in the game is not really beneficial, because ROFS is going to see it. They're going to go and try to take it out because they know what you're trying to do. Unless you're going to build 2 rep stations there or an AT gun, there's no point of dropping supplies there other than a garrison. So I just think maybe pre-dropping supplies over here somewhere, or somewhere back over here even, would be a little bit better. Because you can get set up, you know, for some sort of control on Pierre's if you do take this point. Like, obviously there's still a half hour to go, so there's plenty of time to do so, but odds are ROFS isn't going to go back all the way over there unless they just happen to know where it lands, but even then they might be called for somewhere else. I think one thing that some teams lack is pre-dropping supplies, for either trying to take mid back or attacking fourth, or just something like that, like in between. All right, I'm gonna keep moving this forward, as I don't even know how long I've been live for. Oh, I've been live for 36 minutes. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep this to 45, and then, you know, 15-20 minutes for the dumb power rankings, dumb bullshit that I always do to myself. Again, no garrison here, with 2 tanks, and well, 3 tanks, and 2 of them being 76s within 200 meters. Like, you need a garrison here. Like, you need to always be on top of that. Commander Denny, you have to yell at your boys to keep building these garrisons up. There's no need to have like a third of your team back over here. I don't know why that's the case, because you lost this now. You need to get this back up, this back up, this back up, just to have, you know, some sort of front door presence. Especially tank protection, because OPs will get destroyed by damn near everything except for bombing runs and arty. I'm just gonna watch this Stuart do a 360 real quick. There it goes, and it's dead. I don't know what the point of that Stuart was, but yeah, it's Garrison's back up. Good thing you guys did that. It's an interesting MG spot. This is a good reset by Rum, trying to crash down onto these guys. Rum probably has his OP. Rum probably has his OP somewhere back over here. I have no idea where he has his OP, but it's good for him to crash down on that. It feels like everybody is in like 2 spots, like right here and then right here, and that's really not what you need if you're trying to take back cattle. I feel like you need to challenge this main road more. Why you always see those people, you see like the top teams do the line strat, as people call it. Mostly sector capture. Let's zoom up a little bit. Now this hurts if you are Pathfinders. Just having get satcheled from behind. It's tough to see back of how that happened, but oh, and our squad just get that garrison back up, but obviously you're losing defense. You only got the one on the sector Gary back on defense. Feel like you need at least 3 to 4 sector Garys for defense for the most part. Maybe one less, maybe 2, depending on the point. This is great distraction by ROFS, just making the 76 to spin cycle, and somehow illusion does not die. Just feels like Pathfinders are beating themselves against a door at this point. Just feel like that 76 is way too far in. Probably try to full sent it for the cap, but it's just kind of a tank just waiting to die. Oh shit, I forgot to bring out how Pathfinders even got this point. They just got a Gary close over here, and then they just kind of went along this hedge, went down here, and just kind of took it that way with front door pressure and whatever presence was over here. That's basically how they took that point. You're not going to win games like that all the time. I feel like they got a tad bit lucky on that, but it's not really. They just kind of grinded their way through this and just kind of took cattle sheds. But like I said, if they just had like some sort of supply drop back here or here placed like 20-30 minutes before this point, Alpha could be setting up pretty for them to get a possible cap onto Pierre's farm. Because at this point, it's like, all right, you got it. Congrats. Now try to win the game in, 15 minutes. It's going to be very hard from this kind of layout. You only got, essentially 2 Garys and around cattle in the sector. It's not going to be good. With 15 to go, it's still a rough setup. Again, like lots of bodies stacked right here. Don't do that. You have to push down into Pierre's and then like that. Just kind of wrap around like that. You can't just like do like pub lobby shit where you just run from that point to point to point. I say pub lobby shit very loosely there. None of my Smithers went on top of Pusak here. I don't know what he's doing. Smithers, that is. It's a good Tiger position from ROFS. If you're gonna like still have this ground for ROFS, why not use it for your tanks and stuff? But I think they do get a benefit of this P-Strike. They do get a little bit lucky with that one if you're Pathfinders. I think that really opens the door. That P-Strike really opens the door for them of how much ground that they can gain now due to that Tiger being gone. Because now these tanks can just kind of push and challenge this. It's just that these infantry over here need to win their frags. They just gotta play a little bit slow. Like 8 minutes, not a lot of time. But, a lot can happen within, 2 minutes, 3 minutes even. So, there's still time for, them to come back. Even though they do need to, like, not waste any of it. Because every second counts. P4 from ROFS, I get what you're trying to do. I just wouldn't have played it like this way. Honestly, I would have shoved it back here. Like, just shove it back here behind, if you can, just, go back here with it. That's what I personally would have done. I skipped school to watch this. Why? It's a dumb stream. Wait, is that a tiger? That somehow takes out that tank, but I still would have shoved it back there because now this P4 is just kind of fucked. It's more so the presence of a tank that pisses people off more than it kills them, I think. But you are forcing it to do some weird shit. I think this bombing run is a poor use of a bombing run, if I do have to be honest. Here, Pathfinders, I don't really agree with that. Even in that situation, like, yeah, there was a tank there and you probably didn't know the numbers, but I just feel like that's your last bombing run. I would have used it maybe 30 seconds later. See what kind of progress you guys are gaining or losing. Wish we could see the freaking supplies amount, because I'd want to know if they have an airhead available. Just like, I think it's a little bit too little too late. It's a little bit too little too late. Tiger's coming up now. That probably got P-striked. Now it's kind of when the time I would use that bombing run, because, you know that Alpha's here. Just do a bombing run east-west and see what you can try to do. That's pretty much it. That's when I would have used it. Just given like the map layout is use it east-west. Hopefully front door can help out too. And that's pretty much game. It's going to be GG's to ROFS then. Now you're forced to cross the field, and yeah. Well, that is that game. Time for what everyone's actually here for, which is the stupid fucking power rankings that people fiend for all the time. Now you're probably asking yourself, oh wait, there's 16 teams. Why is there only 12 spots? Well, I decided to group some teams together because I feel like there really isn't a worst team in Summit, and I feel like that's kind of disrespectful for those teams that are maybe not all there yet or still trying to learn. So I don't care what people say. This is my list. You guys can fuck off if you don't like it. Also, this is all for fun anyway, so don't take it seriously. Some of you guys take it way too seriously, and it pisses me off. Anyways, we're gonna get into it at 12, if I can find it. 12, I have first, and some other team that I cannot find because OBS is annoying as shit, and I have 21st. I don't really have a reason for putting them quote-unquote last. They did have some tough matches. 21st honestly did surprise me of how long they did last against 6. They, did even contest that midpoint for a little bit with that little backdoor Garrison play. Kind of reset 6, made them think a little bit more about the game. So I do like where they're kind of trending. Same with first. Yes, both teams got 5-0'd and around roughly the same time, maybe first a little bit later. But I think both these teams are trending in the right direction. Obviously, they're probably not, they're not the best teams in the world, but, I think they do have some things going for them. They did go through, huge losses in the past year, past 6 months even. So I think, both these teams are in a rebuilding stage. Same with some other teams on this list, but I think overall, they should still be respected. They still do put up a good fight, and they still have some good players on each of these teams. So, yeah, I put them there at tied for 12th. 11th, I have Pathfinders and 1SPS. Now, I don't want to kind of disrespect these two teams and putting them this low because they did have good performances against ROFS and 9PZ. I just think they just make one too many mistakes that can cost them a game against teams that are similar skill to them. And I think that's kind of the reason why I kind of just ranked them these low. And, you know, the same can be said for 10th, which is KRRC. And if I can find it, oh my god, I hate OBS so much. And WRTB. Like, I kind of put these two teams all at 10th, in my personal opinion. If I had to, this is what it would be. They're kind of like all on the same tier, in my personal opinion. One's, I don't think, not better than the other. They're not worse than each other. I just think these two teams have been around long enough that they kind of know the game a tad bit better, but they still make the mistakes that that Pathfinders and 1SBS do. I just think if they clean up some things here and there, they will be a very good team to compete with. And they wouldn't be like, you know, quote unquote walkover team, or a team that you know you're gonna beat like without even trying. But you know, that's why I kind of have these four teams that kind of tied 10th, 11th ish. Again, these rankings are very hard to make, so yeah. 9th, I have ANZR. Almost won against EXO. 2 seconds away from capping mid. But they still lost 4-1 because they didn't cap that point. Even if they did cap that point, they were, I think, just how the map was looking, with them all coming front door and like a 76 on point, that 76 would have died very quickly if they capped. I think it would have been a recap from EXO, and the game probably would have ended 3-2 in favor of EXO. But you know, you never know what happens. But you know, the way that the game played out, and EXO ended up winning 4-1. But I think ANZR is heading in the right direction. Obviously, they just need maybe fix some things here and there of how they approach things, and I think they'll be, you know, a top 8, top 7 team even. I think they're a very good team to play against. But they are not 8th or better in this list. At 8th, if I can find it, I have Merc, and I have 22nd. Now, I'm not going to be biased here. I'm going to be fair. I think these teams, like, yes, 22nd just beat Merc. I was a part of that. I played in that, and we beat Merc. I get it. All right, celebration's over. Time to move on. But, you know, we did have a, you know, favored point to cap. It's slightly favored for the Axis. And recapping that point as allies is a complete bitch. As you kind of saw, Merc had a very rough time trying to recap that point. You know, we played to the map's strengths and advantages, and we ended up winning the game. So, but I think, you know, Merc are still they're still a strong team. They have really good players. You know, if we made 1 or 2 mistakes in that, we would have lost that game. But, you know, we tightened things up. We won the gunfights we need to. We took out tanks when we need to. And, you know, we ended up winning the game. Maybe on a different point, it would have been a different story. But, you know, you have to play with the chips that you're dealt with. And that's what happened. I just think I have to rank them fair. And I have to just kind of rank them even. Like, even. I would put us slightly above them. But I think we're, you know, pretty evenly matched. That game did go the full distance, full 90. Very, very close game. You know, if 1 or 2 gunfights, you know, determines the outcome of the game, I think, you know, that's huge. So I think, you know, I'm ranking them there. I don't care what people say. We're going on to 7, which I think is 9PZ. ANZR versus 21st is the most I'm excited for. ANZR actually plays Merc. I think that's going to be an interesting game. God, people are still yapping in Summit chat. Jesus Christ, you guys need to watch my streams instead. 9PZ beats 1SBS 4-1. I think that's a 9PZ-ish type of game. I think they played each other in TPL, if my memory serves me correct. But I think 9PZ, they've been pretty strong. It's just that once they play a team that's above them is when they really, I think, their weaknesses get exposed a lot. And that's where it kind of gets rough for them. I think 7th is fair for now. I would love to see 9PZ and Merc play. I think that would be an interesting matchup. Same with 9PZ EXO, because they did play each other not too long ago. I think like 2 months ago or something like that, 3 months ago. I forget. But it was a very close game in that match. But I'm just going to rank 9PZ 7th because, you know, they won their game. Everybody that has won above has won their game. So 6th, I have ROFS. I'm using their Olo because I just don't feel like changing it right now. No other reason than just them winning. I think it was a solid win. They probably should have won that 4-1. You know, I know when teams say that, you know, they're up 4-1 on a team that they shouldn't lose a point, or when you cap, you shouldn't lose a point. But, you know, things happen. You know, teams do come back. But I think they've, you know, improved slightly since the last time I seen them play. I think this was a little bit better of a managed game from them than it was from the TPL final, which we're not going to get into because it's not TPL, it's Summit. But I think it was just a little bit cleaner game from ROFS all around. If they don't lose both those heavies to P-Strikes, I think we're having a different conversation with ROFS even winning possibly 5-0. Because obviously that's, you know, 1200 fuel that was, you know, sniped by Denny. So I think maybe it's a little bit different of an outcome for that match. Maybe it is 4-1, maybe it's 5-0, but, you know, ended 3-2, still a win. And I think they're slightly above 9PZ, but they aren't 5th, which is 3-5. They 5-0'd first. Pretty convincing win, all things considered. Nothing too much, to be completely honest, from that game. I think it was just like an average 5-0 win for 3-5. I really don't have anything else to say. I thought they played pretty well. First put up a little bit better fight than I thought they did. Than I thought they were, I should say. Were gonna do, or something like that. I don't know. English is hard. I'm out of water. But yeah, that's what I have for 3-5. That's kind of it. And they play Taco, so yeah, they're not gonna have fun. 4. They play Taco, so yeah, it's kind of excited to see that, but who knows what will happen in that game. 4, I have EXO. They play 22nd next round. I forgot to mention that as well. EXO, they're a weird team right now because they play ANZR and 1-4-1, but they could have lost that game. Now they play 22nd on I don't know why the fuck we're playing EXO on Elsenborn Ridge. I think I played that map 3 times in my life. But no, but at the EXO game though, I thought once they gave up the front door, I got really confused. That's something you shouldn't really do in a competitive game against any team, even if the team's like quote unquote you think is a walkover. No, teams like that can really bite you, as we saw in the 22nd Merc game. But I still think they're a top 4 team. They just need to play like a top 4 team. I think that game they may have underestimated ANZR a little bit. Because once you give up that front door, you're essentially giving up, you know, especially on that point, especially on Dugout Bar and Allies. It's a very hard point to take back. Ask Taco, ask Merc about it. It's a very rough point to get. And ANZR almost did that because no one from Exodus was there. So if they just clean that up and just maybe have 5 people there, 6 people there, then they're okay. But a mistake like that against one of the top 3 teams, even against 3-5, even against ROFS, even 9PZ almost beat them too, like a few months ago. It could cost you. It could cost you a game, or it could cost you a point. 4th, or not 4th, 3rd and 2nd and 3rd, I have 6th and Legion still. I mean, I kind of have them tied at 2, to be honest. I mean, let's face it, Legion won in 17 minutes. There's really nothing to talk about that. 6th, a little bit of a surprise that 21st put up a better fight than they probably anticipated, especially given that all the points for 21st defense were all offset from the midpoint. So it makes it awkward to push if you are 6th to try to cap 4th and 5th, but it also makes it super awkward for 21st to defend and attack at the same time. I just feel like that one Garrison play the 21st made should not have happened, but you know, those things do happen in comp games. But and obviously Taco, you know, they're number 1. I really don't have anything to say about them. They're still number 1. They won TPL final, Div 1 title against 6th. They beat Legion to get there. They just beat WRTB 5-0 in pretty convincing fashion. Nothing too much to say about that. I got a question. What would you rather, chocolate milk or water awake? I would rather have water. But that's pretty much it for this stream. I hate doing these power ranking lists. I think they're stupid. I probably won't do this again. I just do it because people watch it and I think it's funny. Yeah, if anybody has any questions for the next minute and 10 seconds, I'm gonna end the stream and see why people are still arguing in Summit chat about absolutely nothing important. Yeah. Oh geez, G's calling me. Hello. What's up? You're not wrong. You know you're on stream, by the way. No, it's good. I've had it before. I don't think stream can actually hear you. It's okay. 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 I'll talk to you later. Later. All right, that was Lil G. I don't think anybody heard him, but that's okay. He called me about chocolate milk for some reason, but yeah, I'm gonna end the stream now. Don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, but good luck to all the teams in Summit that play, and also check out Smithers' channel in the description. And also, one last thing before I actually get off, I made a video that'll be on Caparzo and Snow's podcast, so check that one out once they go live this Thursday. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.